welcome to day 2 of this thing. So you can see day 1, we got a lot accomplished. Trimmed the doors a bit. Removed unnecessary things. Today's goal, windshield is gonna go, and then we're not sure where we're gonna cut yet, but the roof is coming off. Very, very fucking professional.
Need to go grab the vacuum now. Just this last one left. Get a hand on it.
That's what they teach you at the dealership. He would know. He worked at one.
Who?
Oh.
Worked at two. Gee, I think I refuse to have one as a daily. We could bring that down a lot. There we go. Because we just ripped out a bunch of wires, there's a function check.
Make sure it lights up the tires.
Okay.
So, I'm thinking basically continue this line, cut right there. That's about how much we're going to be moving it forward. About a middle finger and an index apart. So, yeah, if we cut across here, it's going to end up being this section of the roof that actually lines up on top of this again.
Morning, everyone. Biggest goal for today is going to be getting the roll bar in this, which is going to require us to trim it down and shape it to fit and all that fun stuff.
Okay, so project update. For one, the roof it's not coming off again. We already got this welded up. Now we still need to attach here and attach here. See, cages in. Third row seats still fit. We got some hideous 24s on offer up. And we're also going to be lowering the truck, so it's going to come down, I think, about 2 to 3 inches in the front. And then we'll see what we do with the rear. But anyways, big job now.
Now's the fun part.
All of this, after we get this attached, the idea that we had was taking these bits of the door trim, we're just going to cut it in sections and try to make all of this into one solid piece up over the top. So no more seams, nothing.
We're gonna put all this trim back on where it would have sat on the roof before we moved it forward. And then we're gonna cut off these side panels and put them back where they would have sat.
Yeah.
So that way it fills in all these gaps and looks nice. We're definitely putting lipstick on a pig.
Okay, so just now got the headers in from Speed Engineering. These are going to be with 2-inch primaries going to a 3-inch collector. I think these weren't terribly expensive. $380, $400, something around there. Looks like good TIG welding all the way around. Probably better than what I'm about to put on it. All I'm going to do is take these V-bands, get those welded on there. So a situational update. What do we got going on?
So, sorry for not recording all the fun today, but to summarize, the oil dipstick broke off in the block and we couldn't get it out. So we had to go underneath, take off the oil pan to get in there, take that out. But to get the oil pan off, you have to drop the front axle and front differential. So I did that. All that. Getting everything put back together now. We're not putting the front diff back in because rear wheel drive conversion, I guess. We got the new dipstick in, and if you come up here, also see we have new intake. This is like $60 off Amazon, and then new headers, 2-inch primaries, long tube headers from Speed Engineering.
Our temporary solution is just down here, just some 3-inch turn downs.
Turn down for what?
Call this version 1. What we're thinking what we might end up actually doing is, instead of having this come out on the passenger side, it's just going to cross over to the driver's side. Probably just have dual 3-inch drops coming out the driver's side. Not sure. We're gonna toy around with that another time. This mess with the oil pan kind of sapped our energy on it.
It's nearly midnight, and we just want to hear this thing run. You can see all the fun I've been having under here. This truck is so gross.
I mean, 250,000 mile.
Yeah. 250,000 miles, 20 years old. This truck is disgusting. So after we drop the front differential and front axle, we still have these shafts. So on the 4-wheel drives, the hubs have to have the stubs of the axles in it. I think it holds the wheel bearing together or something like that. But what we're going to do actually is just cut this short up here at its little joint and just leave that section in the hub and take these out. Also, a fun little detail we know now is these transfer cases are viscous coupling. So because we yanked the drive shaft out, that viscous coupling is going to eat itself fairly rapidly. And so the gamble is, will it go do a burnout contest before it eats itself? We don't know. But something's going to have to be done about that. We're probably going to try to get a transmission with a manual valve body just to minimize the amount of electronics necessary. We're not sure yet. We're still kind of spitballing on that. Need to do some research because we don't know these. I don't think either of us we've ever owned an LS powered vehicle before, so we know nothing about.
I've never owned a Chevy,
so we know nothing about these systems or how it works or any of that. So learning experience.
Turns out, if you're gonna buy one of these for cheap off Facebook Marketplace, stuff like that is worth looking into before you grab it.
Yeah.
Because with what we know about that now, if we had known that before we got this, we probably would have said no to this truck.
Yeah, we didn't know the difference between the all-wheel drive and the selectable 4-wheel drive. Because the selectable 4-wheel drive is not a viscous coupling transfer case, and it would have been perfectly okay to do this. But the trade-off is we have the 6.0. That might or might not be a good trade-off. We have a little bit more power, more displacement, so we're cooler. But the transmission, or really the transfer case situation, because technically this transmission's okay. It's the transfer case that's going to cause issues. So we're kind of playing a game with it, and we're not sure how that's going to work out. I hate these piece of shit style battery terminals. I don't know whose idea this was, but they deserve to be shit. This is all the rust and dust and grime that's been just falling out from under the truck as we work.
So we're at it again. He is going to be working on getting the springs out so that we can lower the rear. Because we're smart, we're probably just going to go with trying to chop the springs and see how that ends up. He's going to be working on the rear end. I'm going to be chopping up these door bars to make the trim pieces for this side, so it looks like the other side. Got any comments for the viewers?
We also let it sit and run for a little bit, so it's not idling totally happy. We're not completely sure why.
Right now I am working in the back here making these little trim panels, and I'm almost done with them. I got one more to make and then realized, hey, I should probably record that. So I'm not concerned with making the super best fitting show car trim panels. I'm concerned with this stuff right here, all this sharp metal that people can cut themselves on. I don't want that to accidentally happen. So making some basic panels, just using some old ABS sheet I've had laying around for a while. I'm gonna do my best to cut out the right shape, gonna rivet it on and then heat it up and bend it, and you'll see all of it. This is the somewhat interesting part, and you saw a little bit of it already. But here's all I have to do this with. Gloves, propane torch, wet rag, wet with cold water. What we're gonna do is heat this up, try to kind of get it inside and out until I can kind of see it soften up. And then the goal is just gonna be to peel this all back, kind of wrap it around as best as it'll go, and then use that rag to run over it and draw the heat out of it quickly again, so it kind of sets in its shape. You'll see what I'm doing here in a minute. Very simple process, and it's just the kind of thing where if you wanted to make it look nicer, you just do it more slowly than I'm gonna. Now, the thing to remember or notice is that I'm moving the heat around a lot. That's because with something this hot, if I just stay in one spot, that's just going to burn the shit out of that spot. I need to move it around and let that heat kind of soak into the material a little bit, because that will be what actually gets it nice and soft like this, is the heat being soaked all the way through, not just on the surface. Okay, so it falling down like that tells me that it is very nice and hot right now, and yeah, look at that. Look how easy that stretches everywhere. So now the goal is to soak the heat out of it while it's in the shape that I want. So, wet rag. Alrighty, that's already starting to hold the shape. Obviously it's not there yet, so I'm going to heat it up again and kind of get the rest of it. And every time I heat it, I'm going to be heating less of the material, because right here, that's good. I'm happy with that. All I want is to get the rest of this around. So I'll focus the heat there and then wrap it. That's basically it. Shape, and if you want to, like I said before, if you want to actually make it look nice, just do it slower than I was. This is just so I can do this now without cutting my hand, and it does that perfect.
I wonder if the microphone picked up my fart.
Gonna be welding the entire door shut and shaving the door handle off, because can't really get in through this way anyways. So next step is going to be grinding that smooth, then capping that hole, and then a little bit of Bondo. Really don't know of a way to stop warping entirely, but it seemed, compared to the other side I just did big circle all the way around, and this one you saw me kind of break it up to different sections. That does seem to have reduced the amount of warping compared to what I saw on the other side. Imagine someone who's competent in bodywork could probably work out what's there. I am not competent with bodywork, so I will not be working that out. All I'm going to do next is take the flappy wheel, get all the high spots down, and then I'm just going to slap some Bondo on top of it, sand that smooth, and fucking call it a day.
You got one car coming on the left.
Try just putting some more in and see what happens. Look out, some here.
I guess we can.
That's the only lead we have, is that last time putting more in helped.
Yeah. Down the road back, just see if it behaves any differently, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, that's fucking great news.
Yeah, so those connectors are zip tied in place now because it was the little hooks that are on the top of the connectors were like way bent out. Just because they're, 20 years old and plastic.
Force it into one. Force it into two. Three. Well, cool. We fixed something.
Yay. Unfortunately, now it's hemorrhaging fluid out the tail shaft.
Yeah.
We are geniuses.
Got room overhead, not gonna smash our camera. It's not rolling back because we actually have a park.
If only it ran better.
yeah, so that's it for now. Truck runs like shit. Transmission has problems. We have a speedometer again. That's a win.
And all the gears.
Oh yeah, and all the gears. So, you know, do a 1, 2, 3 burnout. Just gotta figure out what the deal is with this leak. Hopefully the shop that rebuilt the transmission for us will be cool about it and be like, oh yeah, that's our mistake, or maybe they at least know what's causing all the issues. Don't know. Gonna find out though. Okay, so where are we at this point?
Well, it's still not running proper. Replaced one of the O2 sensors. Truck still runs like crap, and I think it might have actually been the other O2 sensor. Oops. And I also just figured out why we have no coolant temp gauge. This is a connector that's supposed to go to the coolant temp sensor that's right there.
Oh.
And this is supposed to be the connector. But it's not doing a whole lot of connecting these days. That's not good. I don't know what happened in here, but yeah. Okay. At least now we know.
As for Bodywork, really we're about done. So the roof is now chopped. We're not going to worry about that kind of stuff. This is about what you're going to get. We got 2 problems that need solving right now. Well, not 2 problems. We got 1 problem that needs solving. So after we did our conversion to make it 2-wheel drive, found out the new drive shaft, there's like a little seal in the yoke that is broken and it's causing the thing to leak. So you take drive shaft out, dump some RTV into it, call it a day, get that to stop leaking. And while he's doing that, I'll be taking off all the trim, take off headlights, all the stuff, kind of get it ready for us to actually sand and paint this thing. Update on what I'm doing up here. You can see grill, headlights, all that is gone. I actually have to give a point to Chevy. Taking this stuff off is super easy. What we're also doing is getting rid of this thing because we don't need that where we're going. We're not worried about it. He's working on yanking out the drive shaft right now. Yeah, progress being made.
Well, here we go. Drive shaft is out. So fun thing that we've learned on these. If you look up in there, right in the middle, you can see there's a hole. Right there. Little tiny hole. And apparently from the factory, there's a little seal that goes in there. And we got this drive shaft off eBay. And it doesn't have that seal, so it's been dripping transmission fluid. Just sitting there doing it. So we're gonna shove some RTV into it and solve that issue permanently.
This kind of shows why no one should feel bad about what we're doing to this truck. Like, it is in this bad of a condition. Sanding is coming along, and yeah, this is basically all the prep work this thing is gonna get.
It's done!
There she is.
The Denali. Gonna make its debut at the Cletus and Cars on Saturday. Quick tour because we know we didn't film everything and some things just weren't very clearly said. So, the most obvious thing is the roof is chopped. We took about 7 inches out of it. That originally came from when it was loaded on the bus originally, when it hit bumps. It would hit the bus. It would sit here and bounce. So we lowered this so it fits on the bus better. Then we got carried away. Part of the roof chopping process meant everything came forward a little bit because now these A-pillars are shorter. So that's how we ended up back here with the open back, because now the roof, instead of sticking all the way back, it was like up here. So he had the idea to just right here at the C-pillar, cut it and make it smooth.
Great little feature about this We still got the third row. They still clip in, clip out. Still have their seat belts. That all works like factory.
Up front, everything is stock except for the steering wheel. We didn't mess around with anything up here.
And honestly, we were not going to do a steering wheel, but the thing we realized is that to sit comfortably, you have to lean back pretty far. And at that point, the steering wheel was just a little bit further forward than we liked. So got us a little cheapy wheel with an extension for the hub so that it'll fit in there better.
And up here, where the magic happens, a mostly stock 6.0. Amazon cold air intake, speed engineering, long tube headers.
Which then just go to 2 straight pipes coming right out the side.
The coils are like off Amazon, I think. They're whatever cheap replacements we could find. Rebuilt the injectors, new spark plugs and spark plug wires. That's that's literally the extent of what's going on up here.
We know that on the driver bank, we have 2 cylinders that are on low compression. And we noticed a little bit of water coming out of one of those pipes there, so we might have a bad head gasket on the passenger side also, which is not ideal, but also not going to stop us.
It doesn't run the best, but it does run, and that's all we need.
Roof rack. This is the original roof rack. Ended up having to shorten it a little bit, and you can see it's not using the original mounting holes, but still got that there. Roll cage. Where did the roll cage bent pieces come from?
I really don't remember.
Welded it in ourselves, so everything it's strong. We definitely had to do this because you see that our A, B, and C pillars aren't fully attached the way they were from factory.
This was something that we did not get on camera, and I don't know how. I think we just got too excited. But yes, in order to make all this fit, we had to cut these pillars right here so that they could bend in, because now the roof is sitting lower and it's not perfectly flat.
Yeah, see kind of that open notch that we had to make. Now the plan was to make plates to go in here and weld them in place, but we didn't. The rear doors are not these fat, ugly wheels. Found them on OfferUp, a set of 4 of them. I think it was like $200. And yeah, they work. They're ugly. Like, we don't really like them, but they sort of go with the look of the truck overall. The rear is still running these wheels from a Nissan Titan.
The rear brake calipers are removed. The brake line is vice gripped closed.
For windshield, we just got us a sheet of Lexan. Cut it to size, so I mean,
it really is a piece of garbage.
Yeah. Can't stress that enough. Didn't really make it much on camera. Transmission.
The Yukon Denali's were all-time all-wheel drive. And it had a viscous clutch transfer case. And what we ended up doing was we found a local shop that would swap the output shaft and the tail housing to the rear-wheel drive. And that's how we have rear-wheel drive conversion. Looking back on it now, definitely should have just bought a rear-wheel drive 4L60E transmission and put it in. Yeah. If you want to do a rear-wheel drive conversion on one of these trucks, that's what I recommend. There's a lot less going on in this truck than you would think. It's mostly just the cool paint job and the chopped roof.
When we got the truck, the original plan really was just to do the white trash paint and call it hot garbage, sort of a homage / parody, whatever you want to call it. It's meant to be a joke.
Looking good that's not half the battle. That is the whole battle.
Really, the big goal with this truck was don't spend a bunch of money on it.
I got the truck off Facebook Marketplace for $1,000. And then with everything we've done, I'm pretty sure we're still in this truck for like under $3,000. The paint is literally just house exterior paint. It's one of those vehicles, it looks way better on camera than it does in person. By the time you see this video, we are on the road heading to Florida for the Cletus and Cars. Hopefully we'll have a cool video of this doing a massive burnout soon.
That or crashing.